going to be a couple of glitches and things like that. But he's very transparent. And he talks about those issues and how, more importantly, they're going to be resolved so that we all can help focus you on making sure that your agents really do engage in the product. So it's my pleasure to welcome the Chief Executive Officer of Moxiworks, York Baur. Please give him a C21 warm welcome.
Thank you, Greg. Hello, everyone. Pleasure to be with you. Thanks to all of C21. You know, when the crew called and said, "Hey, would you like to come down to Phoenix and do a presentation?" I said, "Well, you know, I'm from Seattle. You know what the difference between winter and summer in Washington is in Seattle? It's the rain gets warmer." So to be down here in this beautiful setting here is absolutely wonderful. And kudos to you all for taking the time to be a part of this. My presentation, believe it or not, is not going to be a lot about hardcore techie geeked out details. We save that for other audiences. What I wanted to do is talk a little bit about the why behind Moxi, and in particular, why behind Moxi right now in the market that we face. So at Moxi, we're a very, very data-centric company, and I wanted to show you a little bit of our insights, at least, into the marketplace. We operate a thing called the Home Sales Predictor. It's freely available. We predict the next 2 months of home sales nationally every month, available on our website at moxiworks.com. This is a chart that shows those predictions over a long multi-year period. Each of those lines is 1 year in time. But what I want to draw your attention to is 2 lines in particular. That's 2019 in the yellow and 2022 in the black. So what I'm trying to tell you is that what we see happening is much more of a reversion to the mean than it is the cataclysm that the news can't seem to stop talking about. So yes, is it a correction? Of course it is a correction. And we have, as human beings, this thing called a recency bias. We tend to remember and pay a lot of attention to what just happened and think far less about what used to be the case in the past. So it's a big adjustment, yes, but remember that the sky is ultimately not falling. We just need to go back to what was working in the past, because that's what got us here, especially in quality brokerages like yours. Now, here's a fun fact for you. Last year, 2021, our industry, the real estate industry, collectively spent $6.4 billion to buy leads and bought 120 million leads. Think about that number, 120 million leads to close 6 million transactions. So what does that tell you about the quality of those leads? And by the way, a number of those leads in that 120 million got resold multiple times. This leads us, and this is where the coaching your agents comes in, to what I affectionately call the cold lead death spiral. And yes, it's a dramatic image, and I know Monday's Halloween, but I am trying to be dramatic because I think this is a problem that agents, even good quality agents, fall into a trap around. And that trap is as follows. Life is good, the market booms. They go, hey, I can grow my business further, I'll buy a bunch of leads. So they use the excess cash they have from the good times. They buy a bunch of leads, those leads don't convert, but the agent gets distracted and concentrates on that part of the business, and they forego their sphere of influence, which, by the way, for a mature agent represents 82% of their business coming from their sphere of influence. So now their sphere starts to atrophy. And meanwhile, their business starts doing this, so they start turning down the cash spent on the advertising and turning down and doing less and turning down, and they fail. When if they had simply just concentrated on their sphere of influence, none of that would have been necessary. They would have actually made more money, and they would have had a killer business in any market, including the market that we've entered now. So, I believe that we all collectively, and you need to give yourself some credit in this room. I was at your reception last night, had a number of wonderful conversations about all the effort that has gone into deploying Moxi. And as Greg said, I know it's a lot of effort. I know it takes time, it takes staff time, there's a lot of stuff that needs to be dealt with. But crucially, for you all in this room, it takes your leadership for this stuff to succeed, and you provided that leadership to date. Here's the good news. I think we've done the hard part from a technology point of view. We've deployed this stuff, and we've worked through the problems, and we've trained people and done all this stuff. So what we've done here is we've gotten access to the crude oil that fuels your agents' businesses and therefore your business. Why? Because here's a fun fact about that crude oil. Remember the 120 million leads? Well, all of Anywhere, so including C21, all of Anywhere's agents, as we sit here in Phoenix, have collectively 45 million consumer contacts in their databases in Moxi. So of those 120 million leads, you all collectively, Anywhere agents, know half those people. They're already in your sphere of influence. So if you just simply pay attention to them, you're going to transact with them. Why? Because what's the chance of transacting off a cold lead form versus a relationship that's in place? And I heard that discussed in some of the presentations earlier, and that's what you all do in your agents. You build relationships, you curate relationships. So simply do that. And that's what Moxi is here to do. So the Moxi Cloud is where the crude oil is, where the databases live. And then Moxi Engage in particular is, as you all know, the CRM, and it's fueled by this active pipe technology, which is a bunch of automation that helps to automatically curate that, but not, and I heard this in a presentation again earlier this afternoon, not replace the human. We are not in the human replacement business. Believe it or not, as a technologist, you might find that shocking to hear, but I don't think AI is ready for prime time. By the way, if you want to prove that to yourself or anyone else, go home and talk to your Alexa and see how that goes. So the point is, our technologies are built to surround the agent, make a lot of things easier, do things automatically for them that are expected by the consumer to come from a computer. Like market data is a good example. Everyone knows that comes from a computer. But a great interaction, a thoughtful home valuation, and so on, those are things that come from human beings. So my point is, you've all done the hard work and you have the tools in place now. So what are some simple things that you all can take away and encourage, in addition to explaining this stuff to your agents? These are the two things that I would encourage you most to do to get value out of this, to start showing the agent the value that they can extract from all this effort that you put in. Number one is simply use Moxi Engage, our CRM. Now, that can mean many things. It's a sophisticated product that can do a lot of stuff. So, simply put, just focus on three things. Have the agent put a goal in there. It's required, by the way, the first time they go in. Why? Because we automatically measure their performance to their goal without them lifting a finger. We get that all out of the MLS data. And it's proven that people that set a goal and hold themselves accountable to it perform better. The second thing you do is sync your database, which we've also automated, assuming that the contacts are already in their email. And if not, we all have the systems and support, as do you, to help them get their database. And that's that, getting that oil into the system. And then the third thing, if they only do one thing, subscribe those people to the neighborhood news. It's an automated campaign that keeps the consumer on a monthly basis familiar with what's transacting around them and what's happening in their market. Proven success with that. The second thing you need to encourage them to do is a thoughtful annual property review. And I'm a little bit on my soapbox about this one, and hear me out. You all have access, for your agents, to Moxi Present. It's a wonderful tool for presenting not only on a listing appointment, but just updating a homeowner on what their home is worth and what's going on in their local market in a face-to-face interaction. I have transacted with my wife now more than 20 properties in our personal real estate careers, meaning as a consumer, we've bought and sold homes. Not one single time has any of the agents we've used, and it's been a number of them over the years, ever come and met with us or even suggested meeting with us to tell us what our house was worth and what was going on in the market. That is your listing source. It's the single most important thing that you can do. Guess what? My financial advisor does this every quarter. Meets with me, tells me what the portfolio is worth, what's going on in the market. Why would we as an industry not do that for the single most valuable asset that the vast majority of our consumers that we know own? It is a tremendous source of listings, frequently so. So here's some quick math for you. Don't worry, there won't be a math quiz. I know a lot of people don't love math, but it's important math, and here's why. Back to those 45 million consumer names that are anywhere in the Moxi Cloud, on average, an agent has about 400 consumers in their sphere of influence database. What we know today, even in a down market, about 7% of those people will transact this calendar year. 7%. So if you know 400 people, there are 28 transactions embedded in that 400-person database. So if you simply do the things on the left, and you capture half of those because you have a relationship, which by the way is a very low bar, then you've got 14 transactions. That's pretty good living for most agents, particularly in the down market. This isn't rocket science. It's what I started with. Go back to basics. And by the way, if you do, this is the proven fact across hundreds of thousands of agents now, which is an agent that uses all of what's there and engaged does 64% better. Those that use present do 53% better. You have the raw material. Anywhere Century 21 has invested in these tools. So it's up to you now to provide the leadership to make sure your agents are going to get the value out of that, and that's what will help drive your business as well. So with that, I thank you for listening, and it's my pleasure to bring up the panel to talk a little bit further about Moxi. First, I want to ask Christine Farley, who's a manager trainer with Century 21 Top Sale. If you want.